morning church singing, and I don't care if she couldn't sing. And the church didn't care if she couldn't sing. She got up here and she belted out these tunes and she meant them from her heart. And she was crying, "Jesus, you're my superhero," down the front with the 8-year-olds, and her heart was right with the Lord. And that's where our hope rests. We know where she is. And you guys know where she is. And love conquers the grave. Anyway, so she was in the office, at spaghetti, at worship, in the little play, and I've seen you today and you're this beautiful young woman, and all I can picture in my mind is when you were little Mrs. Beaver in the church playing this adorable little thing. So she was up front and she said what she thought, and it was refreshing and it was beautiful and she was real, and she loved her kids. She loved her kids. You were her ministry. I remember going to squash with her, and sometimes, Matt, you came along, remember? And this was some years ago. And on Thursday nights, between games, and we're prolific with sweat and smelling like something else, but she would come out for drink break, and the conversation was, "My Matt, in your mum's eyes, you were becoming this great man, and I look at you today and you are a great man, and you were gentle. That gentleness just exudes from you." And that's from her. And then it would be conversations about Kaylee and how you were fixing your hair that week. When I lost my little boy, Yvonne was there too, and she was in shock like us, but she tried to love us. And her love was not perfect love, because it's not Christ's love, but it was a beautiful refracted light with magnificent hues of her and him mixed together. And I love Yvonne. And when I found out what had happened, I had really mixed emotions. On the one hand, I was crying and I was sad. I was going to miss her. But I was kind of jealous too, because she's with Jesus. And she's having a ball. And one thing that I know really upset her about me was I don't like animals. I think that they're creatures of pestilence and plague. And she said, "Surely you've got to like something." I like a goldfish. It can stay over there and I don't have to look at it. So I have a story about an animal that I'd like to share. And I'm sorry if it's a little disconnected, but it was on my heart, especially when you spoke about elephants. It's about an elephant. There were 3 blind men, and they wanted to discover what an elephant was like. So they travelled a long journey to India, and they each touched the elephant. The first man said, "The elephant is really slender." He touched the ear. Another man touched the tail and said, the elephant, it's got rope. It's got rope attached to it. And another man touched the trunk and said, "It's kind of uplifted at the end." And then finally a man came along who could see the whole picture, and he said, "You're all kind of a little bit out of whack. It's not quite like that at all." And he gave a description that defined the entire creature. And it's like that with relationships, and Yvonne has taught me that. We all in the church have a little bit of a perception of what Christ is. And she showed me that Christ is about relationship. He gives us the time. In fact, he gave us his son. And so we need to mirror that and give each other time and give each other investment in relationships. And if you don't have that, then what's it all about? And if you don't know where to find it, come here. This place is really good. Yvonne came here and she got it.
I'd like to invite Connie Robinson to come forward.
Hi, how's everyone going? It's a long time to sit there and listen, but yeah. I met Yvonne 11 years ago when we first came to the church here, and as other people have said, they've talked about how friendly she was, and yeah, she was one of the first people I met. And I was down at the church here one morning. It was quite early on in those days, and Yvonne was looking after the library, and I work in libraries, so we were doing the books together, and she says to me, "Oh, Connie, you staying for morning tea?" "Yeah, I think I'll stay for morning tea." "Oh, good, you're staying for morning tea?" "Yeah, I'll stay for morning tea." And she just had this look on her face. She's sort of that cheeky look, but I was just getting to know her, and that chuckle. We get into the morning tea, and Mark's there, and all the staff, people that I hardly know, and I find out that because I'm the first one there, that's my first time there, I have to share something. And she just had that cheeky look on her face, and that look of expectation and wanting to see if I'm going to sink or swim. And she knows that public speaking's not my favourite thing to do, so I imagine she's got that same look about now. At church here, we quite often do different series, and we did a series on experiencing God. And so that's just knowing God in our everyday lives. And Yvonne came up to me one Sunday night, and she asked me would I mentor her. Of course, it was just a no-brainer. I didn't even have to think about it. I was happy to do it. And so we organised to meet for an hour every Tuesday morning. She was down here at the church doing the banking, so I came in, and we were just going to spend some time together. And Yvonne had stacks of questions, and we thought we might do a bit of Bible study, but we were completely useless at it, so we gave up on that idea, and we got into the groove of journaling together. So that meant that we would read a portion of scripture, and then we would sit there in silence, or try to sit there in silence, and just write our reflections about what we had read. And we had some wonderful times together. We had lots of laughs and deep insights and beautiful insights into what was written on the pages of the Bible. And it turned out that it wasn't me mentoring Yvonne, but it was God mentoring both of us through those pages. I got to know a girl who cared deeply and felt deeply. She valued friendships, she was loyal, she was kind, and she was lots of fun. She was a practical girl who was generous with her time. She saw needs and she helped people. If we had been sharing and I had been having a hard week, she would often ring me to find out how I was going, or just drop in, and I loved that. Yvonne, like the rest of us, made mistakes, but she was always quick to say sorry, and she was always quick to put things right as best she could, and I loved her for that. Yvonne went through the time of transition that we talked about, from working at the jewellery shop, and really, trying to discover what God wanted her to do. And it was during that time that she experienced God's love for her and her provision, that his provision in the opportunity coming up for the nursing. It was a perfect place for her, a place she could practically serve, show compassion and mercy with her trademark good humour. During that time, Yvonne and I went through several boxes of tissues, listening to each other and sharing some pretty deep stuff. We discovered together that when we walk through the valleys, God never leaves us, and he always walks with us. At the end of our hour together, we always prayed. And Yvonne prayed for what she loved most, and that was Matt and Kaylee and Craig. And Mum, Yvonne's mum, she prayed for you too. Her prayers were always very simple, raw and beautiful. And they were prayed to a loving Father who she hadn't seen, but who she experienced. Now she sees him face to face. Those prayers live on, and I am witness to them. And I believe that God just doesn't answer those prayers once, but he's continually answering those prayers. And I think that this is the part of the legacy that Yvonne has left you. I hope for Matt and Kaylee that you'll always know that your mum loved you. She loved you and she was very proud of you. And her prayer was always that whatever choices you make in your life, that you will discover and you will experience God's love for you the way that she did. I'd just like to finish by praying. Father, I thank you for Yvonne. I thank you for the gift that she was to each one of us. And I pray, Father, for Craig and Kaylee and Matt, and for the rest of us who mourn for her. And I pray that each one of us will experience you the way Yvonne did, that we will experience your love and we will experience your comfort. Amen.
Thanks, Connie. It is a privilege now to invite Matthew up to share with us.
Glad all of you guys could be here. So I'll just start off with a story about kind of what sums up my mum. And it has to do with Mario Kart and how she sucked at it. So, one day my sister and I convinced my mum to play Mario Kart with us. She wasn't a very big gaming person, but, she gave it a go and, yeah, she was bad. But, she'd run into walls and go. One stage she'd be going the wrong way and you'd pass and you'd be like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. And there was this one bit where she was in 5th place, not last place this time, and she was coming up towards the finish line, and me and Kaylee, we got up, and we just started cheering, like, come on, you can do it, come on. And she got over the finish line, and she came 5th, which was good for her. But, in saying that, my mum, she was one of those people that gave things a go. Just gave things a go. She didn't care what place she came. As long as she was having fun. It wasn't a thing to come first or be this or be that. She was just who she was, kind of thing. And who that person was you can see that she was a very creative person. She loved her gardening. She did. She used to come to me. I'd be sitting on the couch or whatever on my phone. She'd be like, oh, come tell me where this new plant should go. Or, come look at this new plant. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Go and walk. She'd go, oh, look at this. I'm like, oh, yeah, on my phone. Yeah, that's great. No, but she liked to make the world more beautiful that was one way of her showing that, by planting stuff. And, you could just see how much of a beautiful person God made her, and what was really inside her. Sure, we had some tough times, and I'm sure Kaylee and my dad can agree that it wasn't the easiest times with her, but yeah, she just loved anyway. She loved regardless of what happened and what was going on. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, death comes as a shock, I guess. We don't go out the door expecting not to come back again, The last memory I have of her alive is she's going out the door to a party, and I'm like, Mum, get me a Mountain Dew. And she turned around, she's like, all right, if I come home and the house is clean, then I'll go back out and get you a Mountain Dew. I'm like, well, I wasn't going to do that, but I said yes anyway. I might tidy a corner or something and try and get away with that. But the thing is, we were expecting her to come home. She was expecting to come home. And it really opens your eyes that death is a thing, and it's a reality, and it could happen at any moment. And it really got me thinking about well, what am I going to do with my life? This short time, you don't know when you're going to die, you know? So, like, what can I do to make this count? What's worth? Is it money that's worth it? Or is it making someone smile that's worth it, you know? All those things to kind of think about. Yeah, but I think Mum being weird and crazy, I think this day, this funeral, should be a time of comfort, but it also should be a time of joy and a time of celebration, you know. And with that, you know, we can share a few laughs and share some good stories. I'm sure we have a lot of good stories to share about her. But yeah. So I'd just like to thank you all again for your support and coming here, and really appreciate it. So thank you.
The final testimonial today is going to come from Craig, Yvonne's husband. And again, it's a privilege for us to be here.
Well, hard to follow that, I guess. I had a lot of trouble choosing what I was to say today. I could stand here and say that on the 18th of April we would have been married 28 years. They were the best years of my life, the best marriage in the world. Hardly a cross word was said between us. Marriage was full of love and laughter and grace. But those who know us would testify that that's not the whole truth. We struggled hard to keep our marriage moving forward. For a number of reasons. But I have no doubt that we loved each other. We've heard a lot of the things about Yvonne today. We've heard that she'd give anything a go. We've seen on some of the pictures that she'd jump out of a plane. She flew a glider. She drove go-karts. She was a navigator for me in the rally car once. I'm not sure whether it was my driving or the fact that I blew the motor up 15 kilometres in the forest that she said, I'm never doing this again. One thing that I haven't heard is she was the coach of Matthew's soccer team when he started playing soccer. You know, we've heard that she got down the front here and she was with the kids, giving it all before the kids went out down to the little kids' church. We've heard that she couldn't sing, and I'm glad you said it first. But she did give it her all. We've heard that she was in the middle of studying for her enrolled nurse course. And there's given this today, just because she's not going to be there for the end, but it's to say that she's been part of the course and that she would have finished it strong. These are just some of her paintings. She could draw really well as well. She had some sort of a fetish with butterflies. That's why we've got these butterflies on the coffin. I don't know why. We've heard that that we could laugh, and the sense of humour that she had. And I found myself, I just had to laugh at that laugh, or maybe I should have laughed with her rather than at her, I don't know, but I could go on and on and on with things that she just tried and tried, and we've heard a lot of them today. Yvonne had so many great qualities, yet somehow I, or both of us, we got stuck in this round and round repetitive state of focusing on the negatives of each other. Usually stupid little things that we dwell on, and they become elevated way out of proportion to what they really are. I don't think that we were the only couple that happened with. You know, I think there are a lot of people that do the same thing. I got no idea why we do it. We're humans and we seem to just do this. We just often seem to focus on negatives. One of the unavoidable things that happens when I'm finding when somebody's taken you from you, suddenly you start thinking about all the what ifs. And there are a lot of what ifs. But one of the what ifs I have had to process and work through is, what if I focused more on Yvonne's positive qualities? What if I focused more on what we've been talking about today? How different would our marriage have been? How much easier could life have been for us? Sadly, I'll never know what that's like. I never managed to get to that point and stay there for any length of time for it to be of any worth. I'm not suggesting that in these relationships that we've got hard times with, that we just forget about the hard times. I'm suggesting that we concentrate more on the positive stuff. The bad stuff's always going to be there, but if we concentrate on the positive stuff, the negative doesn't seem as bad. Makes it a lot easier to process and work through that stuff. Why am I saying this? I'm sure you're all saying that by now. I was convinced that Yvonne and I we were going to get our act together and start enjoying our marriage the way that marriage is meant to be enjoyed. Absolutely convinced of it. And with that, you know, that Yvonne and I would be able to help people that are going through similar things that we had been through. So what this is all about is that I pray that you don't find yourself in the situation that I'm in, where I didn't get that chance. We need to deal with pride, our self-pity, our pious righteousness, or whatever else is negative that we're focusing on in our relationship. We need to do all that, get rid of it, focus on the positive. I don't want my what if to be experienced by anybody else in this room. Yvonne's now in heaven. She's been welcomed by God. And this is a comfort for me. I pray that God blesses you and comforts you as well.
Craig and I have been talking a little while about what he was going to share today, and